Alex. Now, have you ever felt like you could intervene if you've seen something wrong happen on public transport? TfL and the Met Police are teaming together to provide active bystander training for people across London to raise awareness about hate crime. And our reporter Gemma O'Reilly is out in Stratford this morning at the opening of the training course. Gem, good morning to you. Tell us all about how this has all come about.
Hi, Aaron. Well, this is all part of National Hate Crime Awareness Week, which runs all week until this weekend. Now, this is a joint effort from TfL with the Mayor's Office for Policing and Crime and the charity Protection Approaches to give Londoners the opportunity to train in being active bystanders if they witness a hate crime. And the first training session kicks off at Stratford Bus Station today, which is why we're here. Now, this comes at a time when we've seen a rise in hate crime across the UK. Home Office figures suggest the number of hate crimes recorded by police in England and Wales has risen for the first time in 3 years, including increases in race and religiously motivated offences. Now, there were more than 115,000 hate crime offences in the year ending March 2025, which is up by 2% from the previous year. Religious hate crime targeted at Muslims rose by 19%, and 40% of all religious hate crimes were targeted at Jewish people in the last year. So this comes at a time when the situation feels particularly sensitive, not just in London, but across the country.
And Jem, I mean, is this targeting racial abuse? Is it talking about hate, sort of disability discrimination? What focus are we going on?
Well, the focus this year, Aaron, is disability. But, you know, just to explain to anyone, a hate crime is an offence targeting someone's race, religion, sexual orientation, transgender identity or disability. Now, this campaign is focusing on disability, and I'm really pleased to be joined by Adam Gabsi from Inclusion London, who's a wheelchair user. Adam, you've advocated so much on BBC London about disability, but you have your own version of hate crime, sadly, don't you? Just tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, I do try to advocate for disabled people. However, my experience is, for instance, I was on a train once and I was asked, what is wrong with you? My response usually is, there's nothing wrong with me because I'm a happy-go-lucky person. However, the couple then refused to accept that as an answer and said, no, we pay for you, so we deserve to know what's wrong with you. And, you know, at that point I totally shut it down, to be fair. But that is an example of disability hate crime. It's a overwhelming feeling of you know, being pushed into a corner that you're uncomfortable with. So yeah, I'm very happy that there is a push against disability hate crime this year. I would tell people to go to our website, sign our petition, because we've been asking for political legal reform since 2016, and hopefully that happens at some point soon.
Thank you so much, Adam. And I'm also with Shuan Hayward, TfL Director of Security Policing Enforcement. Shuan, just hearing that from Adam, what is the advice to people that may witness that?
Yeah, so it's obviously really distressing to hear Adam's story, and though millions of journeys are made every day on London's public transport network that go without incident, we want everyone to feel safe. And we want everyone to feel that the transport network is a welcoming environment. So today is part of National Hate Crime Awareness Week, alongside the excellent training that's been provided by Protection Approaches, which is free to all Londoners to participate in. We're also launching a new campaign, which is going to be available across social media, on ITVX today, and available in cinemas, which is asking people to think about being active bystanders. So we know that the majority of Londoners, actually, if they witness, hear or see an act of hate or an incident of harassment on our public transport network, they want to act, they want to do something, but they're not sure what the right thing to do is, and they're concerned about their own safety if they're intervening in a situation. So the really simple call to action that we're putting out today is to say to Londoners, look, just act like a friend. And that can be a really simple technique that potentially after the incident you go and you approach the person who's been victimised, and you just ask them if they're okay. You let them know that you witnessed what happened, that you're happy to report it to a member of staff for the police, so that evidence can go to our police partners and that they can take action on it. You can just interrupt the conversation, but our ask is that you focus all your attention on the person who's been victimised. We're not asking passengers to police the network. We're not saying get involved. We're not saying put yourself in an unsafe position. But we are saying support the person who's being victimised and act like a friend.
Thank you so much, Shuan. We'll be finding out more about that throughout the morning, and tips for Londoners to approach this safely, Aaron, because obviously that is the fear that then they become the victim too.
Jem, thank you so much. 7:32, Breakfast, BBC Radio London. Let's get your headlines. Let's get back to Jem O'Reilly once again, who is out in Stratford this morning at the opening of a new training initiative between TfL and the Met Police, who are working together to provide an active bystander training course for people across London to recognise and raise awareness about hate crime. Jem O'Reilly is with us, our reporter. Good morning. Tell us more about how this has all come about, Jem.
Hi, Aaron. Well, this is part of National Crime Awareness Week. So National Hate Crime Awareness Week runs all this week until this weekend, and it's a joint effort from TfL with the Mayor's Office for Policing and Crime and the Charity Protection Approaches to give Londoners that opportunity to train online in being active bystanders. And the first training session kicks off from today. We're at Stratford Bus Station because a lot of the awareness is happening from here. Now, just to explain the context, this comes at a time when we've seen a rise in hate crime across the UK. There were more than 115,000 hate crime offences in the year ending March 2025, which is up by 2% from the previous year. And religious hate crimes targeted at Muslims rose by 19%, and 40% of all religious hate crimes were targeted at Jewish people in the last year. So this is a particularly sensitive time, not just in London but across the country. Now, the focus of this particular set of training is on disability, and I'm with Adam Gabsi from Inclusion London. Adam, so much advocacy yourself for disability, but sadly you've got your own experience of hate crime. How do you feel about what happened to you? Just explain a little bit about that to us, and what you would have felt like if someone would have intervened.
Okay, thank you, Gemma. I was on a train once and a couple said to me, what is wrong with you? My answer is nothing is wrong with me because I'm a happy-go-lucky person. But they persisted and they said, no, we pay for you, so we deserve to know what's wrong. At that point, I stopped engaging. But generally, if someone would have got involved, that would have been a good thing. We need allies in the community just to identify the issue and maybe not directly get involved, but even offering support in silence is important, and allowing the person to know that they're not by themselves.
Of course. Thank you, Adam. Thanks for sharing that story. I'm also with Chief Inspector Dan Russell from British Transport Police. Just hearing Adam's story there, as a wheelchair user experiencing, some awful questions like that, what would you advise the public? A lot of people get nervous about approaching this sort of situation.
Exactly as Adam said there, what he needed at the time was an ally. So being that active bystander could come in many levels. If you feel confident and the situation is safe to do so, then do get involved. Create a distraction, ask for directions, ask for the time, any kind of intervention that changes the path of that incident. If, however, you feel that you can't do that, as Adam said, just to glance over to show that you're there to reassure them, and follow that with reporting the incident to the British Transport Police 61016 and supporting that person thereafter.
Thank you very much, Dan and Adam. And it's important to note, Aaron, that this training is online, so if anyone wants to sign up, it's on Eventbrite. But generally, the message is, be that friend in the situation. If you see something, go to the victim, maybe ask them the time, maybe ask them for the next stop on the tube, something that de-escalates the aggression that's coming from the perpetrator.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Jem.